Testing. There it is. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the world famous Rich Wilson Show. I'm Rich Wilson, and you're not. Tonight, we're going to talk about something that's a little on the serious side. I know it's a Friday, and, you know, we like to try to end with, I need to make sure my mic is working properly. We tried to end the week on a positive note, but there was something that I was doing some research about. And so we're going to, this is something that we definitely needs to be talked about. And yes, because it is Friday and it is the Friday before the playoffs, yes, I'm wearing my Eagles attire. We're picked as an underdog for this weekend against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but, you know, the last time we faced Brady, we won, so here's to hoping. So anyway, so we're gonna talk about the staggering statistics of drug use, specifically also concerning fentanyl, which has become huge, and the death of our children, and how they're getting this stuff, and what you can do as a parent to keep them from getting into this stuff. So what do you say? Without further ado, we get into this show. By the way, if you really like the show, make sure you click that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, let you know when I'm on, and also hit the like and share it. Share this with everybody, especially if you've got some friends that have some kids that have a huge online presence. You definitely might want to share this with them as well. All right, the information I'm going to share tonight is very, very staggering. So let's get on with the show, shall we? Folks, without further ado, you're listening to the world-famous Rich Wilson Show. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, where did it go? I think there it is. Okay. I wanted to make sure. I didn't know that my microphone cover or mixer just suddenly disappeared. I'm like, did I hit the unmute button? I did. Sometimes you just don't know. I'm a one-man operation in here, in the bunker, with one good leg. So there you go. So let's get into this. One of the things that we're going to discuss tonight, and like I said, it's going to be a little bit of a dry topic. It's really difficult to make this particular topic exciting. But trust me when I say this: if you have kids or you know people that have kids, you're definitely going to want to. You're definitely going to want to check this out, or at least share it with them. So let's talk about this: the national drug overdose deaths involving any opioid. Now this is 1999 to 2019, which this is their most accurate or their most up to date. They are currently running the data now, so I'm going to fill in the blanks at past 2019 and show you this. So this is male versus female. Female, of course, being the orange, male being the yellow. And you're going to see the uptick from 1999 was below 10,000 opioid deaths. Number among all ages by gender, all the way until recently, we're up over the 30,000 mark for males and up over the 10,000 mark for females. Now you notice the female one is kind of staggered, but it's still way too damn high. Okay, and the thing is what you're not seeing in this is. And I couldn't find a graph for it, but I did find the numbers for it. Teenagers or anyone under the age of 21 is almost half of that number now. In 1999, it was less than 1% of that number. And now that number is 50 to 51% or 52% of that number of drug overdoses involving opioids is under the age of 21. Okay. So just to give you an idea of that, of the over 30,000 in the males, okay, let's just say if that number was an even 30,000, 16,000 of them would be under the age of 21. To give you an idea, okay? That's a staggering number, okay? Let's say the number for the females is an even 10,000. That's 6,000 females under the age of 21 now. And it is unbelievably staggering. I could not believe it when I was doing the research today how bad it is. Now, 2021 saw an increase of it again, and that number is actually higher. In fact, the numbers are much, much higher for the under 21 crowd. And in fact, I believe now it's up almost 60%. Now that's pretty damn scary. And when you really think about it, that's ridiculous that it's over 60% of overdose deaths by opioids is 21 is under the age of 21. Okay. So this is our children, folks. This is our children. A little bit of information here. National overdose deaths involving any opioid number among all ages by gender, 1999 to 2019. The figure above that I just showed you. Bar line graph showing the total number of U.S. overdose deaths involving any opioids from 1999 to 2019. Any opioid includes prescription opioids, natural and semi-synthetics, and methadone. Heroin and synthetic opioids other than methadone, primarily fentanyl. Opioid-involved overdose deaths rose from 21,088 in 2010 to 47,600 in 2017 and remained steady in 2018 with 46,802 deaths. That was followed significantly by an increase in 2019 to 49,860 overdose deaths. The bars are overlaid with lines showing the number of deaths by gender from 99 to 2019, and those are ones that are specific. The other ones are unidentified reports of overdose. So just think about it this way. That number, I just ran you the percentage of what it would be like. So if we just take the 49,802 and you divide that in half, okay, so you're looking at 23,401, okay, 23,401. Now you increase that a little bit for another percentage. You're looking at around about an average of 24,000 children dying from overdoses every year, okay, with the actual raw number sitting here in front of you. And that you can't specify which one is which, but that's going to be your numbers. Okay? So you're looking at that kind of a number, and it's 24,000 per year overdosing under the age of 21. Okay? That's insane. Let me see if I can get there it is. Okay, the national drug involved overdose deaths among all ages again. Now this breaks down the different lines. I'll let you take a look at that for a second. I'm not going to go into deep breakdowns on that because we're going to go into more detail on it individually. Okay, notice antidepressants have taken a big uptick. Okay, notice that one's starting to creep up in there. Cocaine is still around its, but notice the graph for fentanyl. Okay, notice that graph for fentanyl. It is insanely high. Fentanyl is over 50% of the overdoses in America. Okay, fentanyl is 85 or is at 70. It's 75% of drug overdoses for children. 75% of our children are dying from overdoses of fentanyl. Now, antidepressants have started to sneak in, and the reason why antidepressants are starting to sneak in is because it's antidepressants have become a big thing as well. If you notice the volume starting to change a little bit, I'm sitting here staring at my bar graph and noticing that it's getting it's redlining quite a bit. Prescription opioids are up in there as well, pretty decently high. Psychostimulants are up in there, but they started to drop off. And that'd just give you some ideas there. Let's go into these numbers. National drug-involved overdose deaths, specifically by category. With 70,630 drug overdose deaths. Deaths involving other synthetic opioids other than methadone, primarily fentanyl, which that's the big word for tonight, continue to rise with more than 36,359 overdose deaths reported in 2019. That number was even higher last year in 2021. Those involving psychostimulants with abuse potential, primary methamphetamines, also continue to increase as well. Okay, so meth, big rise as well. Let's see here. This one is, I think that's the, okay, so that's the, that one's drug overdose. What was the first one I showed you? Okay, so the first one was involving opioids, period, whether they synthetic or natural. This one is the total number of overdoses in the United States of America. The total drug, so this could be any drug out there on the market, not opioids, but we're going to focus on the opioids tonight. Just to give you an idea, that number 70,000, over 70,000, with almost with a combined total of male and female children is, when it comes to the total number, it's actually a little bit lower. It's not quite 50% of the total drug overdoses. But don't take that as that low number being something to celebrate. It's not to celebrate. The number is still ridiculous high. 26,000 children died from opioid overdoses. And that's the concerning fact. Here's the one for heroin, which is usually the big carrier of fentanyl, heroin laced with fentanyl. You'll notice that the heroin in combination numbers went up, but the heroin without anything else went down. Why? Because pure heroin is not the big thing anymore. It's heroin laced with crap. To give you that idea. So deaths involving heroin from 1999 to 2019. Drug overdose deaths involving heroin rose from 1,960 to 15,469. Since 2016, the number of deaths has trended downward, with 14,000 deaths reported in 2019. The bar is overlaid line showing the number of deaths involving heroin in combination with others, with opioids other than methadone, which is primary fentanyl, without any other opioid. And it is increased. It has increased significantly. Okay, it's ridiculous. So let's talk about this now. Okay, let's talk about this. So why is this such an increase for the children? Well, because when I was younger and my parents were younger and marijuana was the thing, and usually the worst thing you had to worry about was somebody got a bad batch, and somebody lacing it usually wasn't that big of an issue. And there was other drugs around, nothing major, nothing really serious, but there was other drugs around, but most of the time it was marijuana. Okay. And marijuana is not a big thing. It's not horrific. In fact, they're finding out that actually marijuana has positives for treatments with COVID. But, that was kind of what the thing was around. Every once in a while, somebody had shrooms and other stuff, but you didn't have to worry about this. But see, now the thing is it's fentanyl is extremely addictive. And so when somebody sells you drugs and and they lace it with fentanyl. Fentanyl is an extremely addictive drug, and it makes you want to come back for more. So what the dealers have been doing over the years is lacing the drugs with highly addictive other drugs, methamphetamines, which is a big one, which meth and heroin, instant addiction the moment you do it. Now I know a couple people that have tried meth and did not get instantly addicted. It is possible, but for the 99.7% of people that do meth for the first time or heroin are instantly addicted. And so when one of these kids goes to get a drug from one of them, and it's and now it's not so much marijuana, because of course marijuana is legal for most, and instead when they go to get like antidepressants or other drugs to get some kind of a high or some kind of feeling from it, the drug dealers are lacing it with fentanyl or heroin. And the reason why or meth, and it's instant addiction. And so now they've produced a client. The problem is a lot of these drug dealers don't know how to do this. I hate to use the word properly because there's nothing proper about it, but they don't know how to mix it to where it's not going to kill people. And understand, when it comes to fentanyl, most human beings, it only takes 2 milligrams to kill someone. It only takes 2. I read a story today about a state senator whose son died. He got a fentanyl pill from someone that was it's a garage made pill. It didn't come from a pharmaceutical company. He cut the pill in half and took half of it, and they found him dead the next morning. Turns out he ingested something close to 5 milligrams of fentanyl. Okay. So that was half the pill. So God knows how much was total in this. And then when they broke down the mixture of the pill, it wasn't actually even throughout the pill. The process they made in order to make the pill, they did a crappy job of it. The mixture wasn't even, but it doesn't matter. He's dead. Okay. So what's happening here? So let me I gotta wait for that. Waiting. I've gone to 0. There it is. Okay. Sorry if you see me looking like I'm coming out of a weird pause. It's because, once again, still having issues with my computer and it keeps dropping off. But anyway, okay. So let me go back to that. Okay. So if you have a friend that's gotten into this, for you teenagers out there, or for you parents that have teenagers, what's happened is during the pandemic, this is why it's increased so much. During the pandemic, these kids have been stuck at home with not a lot of things to do. They can't go out and hang out with their friends as much as they used to because of of COVID. Okay. So they're online, and their presence online it was a booming economy for the last 2 years for social media programs like TikTok and Instagram and all those. So they'll go on to TikTok and Instagram, and they'll follow people that like their posts, and then they turn around, and then one of these people is a drug dealer. And what they do is they'll like these kids' posts and get the kids to respond or follow them back. And then before too long, they'll get to talking to them. They'll act like they're buddies with them and talk to them about how they're feeling depressed, that they're stuck inside and they can't go hang out with their friends. And they offer them something. Say, look, here, if you can get me, a couple bucks, I can give you something that's going to make you feel better. And that's what this kid did. The senator's child, he ended up getting in contact with a drug dealer on TikTok, and he left some money in a location. Drug dealer came by, collected the money, dropped the pill off for him. He went outside, grabbed the pill, went inside, took half of it, dead in the morning. This is how this is happening. This is how they're doing their drug deals. Remember when I did a story earlier this week about how a lot of illegal activity has been happening with the Cash App stuff and Venmo, where drug dealers and their buyers are exchanging back and forth, and the government couldn't track it, they couldn't tax it, stuff like that. And that's why we're starting to see that these Cash Apps are now going to be reporting to the IRS on transactions. Okay, so using a Cash App, money changed hands, or he left, actually, I think on this one he actually left cash. Okay, but most of the time it's, cash will change hand on an app. and then they will drop it off at a location for them to pick it up. Okay. And then that way there's no interactions. Cop can't watch, because the old days of detective work is you watch the drug transaction take place between two people physically, and boom, you bust them all. But now that's not the kind of thing that's happening. Okay. And in fact, what's making it worse is drug dealers are actually coming onto people's properties to drop off the drugs, which in order for the cops to go onto the properties in order to get it, they have to have a warrant now. They've gotten smarter about it. Okay. So what they're doing is they're doing this, and when these kids are getting depressed, they're getting antidepressants that are cooked up in somebody's garage, or there were somebody's prescriptions that got a prescription for antidepressants, and they're selling them. Okay, Oxycontin, same thing. A lot of these drugs, they'll get prescriptions for them and they'll sell them, or they will cook this stuff up in their garage and with and like a crap job and sell these to people. And you might get a good one, you might get one that's going to kill you, because they don't even know how to mix it properly. They don't have the equipment to mix it properly. So guess what? And like I said, I hate using the word properly because all this is bad. But then they turn around and then they sell it. They package it up and they sell it to people. And what they're doing is they're going on social media sites. They're going to they're on Facebook. They're on TikTok. They're on Twitter, Instagram, FaceTime, all these different apps. And like I said, they'll go and they'll look for these kids posting these things. Your teenagers are posting on TikTok and Instagram and all this, like your friend, your daughter, your son's doing some little cool little video or something, and they like it, and then they'll strike up conversations with them, and then before too long they think they're friends. They think this guy's going to be their friend, and then they end up talking them into buying some drugs. Very ill, or you may not find anything up with your kid. Okay. Or you may not find anything up with your kid. Okay. So some telltale signs that this is going on. Number one, your kid is getting really reclusive. Now, we know that teenagers like to get reclusive and not hang out with the parents. Parents are a drag. Parents aren't cool. Okay. But if they're overly reclusive, like you had a child that was active, used to do a lot of things, did a bunch of different stuff, and suddenly, boom, instantly you've noticed they become reclusive. Something is going on, and you need to find out. Parents, let me explain something to you. A lot of you, I've seen a bunch of my friends with their children go, well, I don't try to interfere with their life. That is the worst fucking thing you could do as a parent. You're not supposed to be their friend. You're supposed to be their parent. And if you notice that there has been a drastic change in your child, you need to get involved. You need to find out why. Now, it could be they're going through a stage of, and maybe one of their friends doesn't like them anymore and they're depressed about it. And it's okay to be there to console them when they're going through this, because guess what? They're going to go through it a lot in their life. Okay. And it's good to teach them those life lessons so they know how to deal with it when they're adults. So they, don't end up out on a cocaine and alcohol binge one night because they ended up, their relationship failed. Okay. So you need to get involved with your child's life. Now, here's the thing. They're your child. Okay. Now, if they're over the age of 18 and they're living on their own, they make their own decisions. They're adults. But if they're under the age of 18 and they're living under the roof of your house, you need to put your damn foot down. If your kid's all over social media, first of all, as a parent, you need to set the ground rule that you have access to their social media pages. Period. And don't look at me when I say that like, oh, I'm crazy. Like, my kids have rights. No, they don't, actually. They don't really have rights. Okay, they have some rights as a human being, but as a child, you are responsible for their actions as a parent. You should have access to their social media pages. So if they have social media pages, make sure they give you the passwords and you can look in on it. Okay? Track what's going on. Look into these things. Now, you don't have to be that overly nosy, over the top of their shoulder, every 5-second helicopter parent. You don't have to do that. You can give them some freedom to do this. But just check up on them every once, not every once in a while. My recommendation is at least twice a week, check in on it. At least twice a week, check in on it. Don't make it regular so they can know when the pattern is and when to delete shit. Check in on them at random 2 times a week just to make sure. Go through their messages. Make sure that, things are on the up and up, that there's not some random guy trying to sell them shit to make them feel better. If your kid's having an issue with depression, have a conversation with your child. Find out what's going on with your child. Don't belittle your child. Don't tell them they'll just get the fuck over it, grow a pair, and get over it. Find out why they're depressed. There's a reason, okay? There's a reason going on. Maybe you'll find out your kid's wanting to tell you something that's going on in their life and they're scared to death that they tell you, you kick them out of the house. Well, you don't kick them out of the house. If your child comes to you and to confide in you in something that's going on with them, this is not that moment to get mad and kick them out of the house because they've decided to choose a lifestyle that you don't agree with. It's to have a conversation with them and understand what's going on and try to help them through that. You may find out your kid's actually addicted to drugs, but they were scared to death to say something to you. And if your kids can't come to you and confide in you and trust in you to confide in you, that's a problem. And that's what these drug dealers are preying on. This is the kind of things that they prey on. The funny part about it is a drug dealer is a damn good psychologist because they can diagnose what's going on with your kid enough to sympathize, make them trust them, and then they can sell them stuff. It's like how many people have gone to a bar, had a couple drinks, and decided to let everything out on the table to the bartender. I know I did, Matthew Werman. I love that man. Amazing, amazing friend. Amazing person. And when I would get off shift, sometimes I would sit at his bar and I would talk to him about everything that was going on in my life. And he listened to me. And he'd give me some sound advice. Or he just let me talk about what was going on, and I felt better afterwards. But the difference with him is he would find a way to pump me up by motivating me to change what it was that was wrong. He would not try to sell me something. Like if he knew I had too many drinks, or if I hit that point where I shouldn't have any more drinks, he'd cut me off. Because he was a friend. Drug dealers are not a friend. They're going to act like your friend. They're going to sell you shit. And then they've got a permanent customer that's going to get them strung out and begging them for more and more and more. And so, like I said, drug dealers could be psychologists. And in fact, there's a lot of drug dealers out there that if they'd put away the drugs, go to school, get their degree, make damn good psychologists. It's dead serious. And this is what they do. So how you need to fix this as a parent is you need to get involved. Because your kid could become a statistic tomorrow morning, and I hope to God this doesn't happen to you. And I pray every day that every one of my show listeners' children and all the children in the world tomorrow will wake up. But one of you, if you don't do these things, one of you is going to wake up tomorrow. You're going to go wake your kid up for breakfast, and they're not going to be with us anymore. I'm dead serious. This is not a situation where you need to, oh, yeah, that's not going to happen to my kid. That senator thought the same thing, too. He was a senator. It's like, this isn't going to happen to my children. It did. You know, people always say, I never thought that would happen to my kid. Don't be that parent. Don't be that parent that sits there and says, I never thought this would happen to my child. There is always telltale signs that something is happening. Now, if you take a proactive approach to this and you find out about your child and you keep an active participation in your child's life about what they're doing online and about what they're doing with people that you've never met, then these things are preventable from ever getting to this point where they meet one of these people. Folks, you need to have a conversation with your children and your friends about these people that they've never met before that'll suddenly make them feel all happy about, or make them feel optimistic about what's going wrong with them, because they have something they can give them. For a low, low price, they can make it all go away. Temporarily. And if you have a child that's got a big social media presence and you have a problem having this conversation with them, play this video for them. In fact, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Getter, you can find me on TikTok, you can find me everywhere. Shoot a message to me. Private message me, say you need to talk to me in person. I'll shoot you my phone number. We'll talk about it. I'll talk to your child for you if you're uncomfortable about it. Why? Because I've been at funerals where friends of mine and parents have had to bury their children over shit like this. Luckily enough, I have 3 children that know better than to go down this route, because I've had these conversations with them. You know, don't miss the opportunity to make sure you are in your child's life to prevent this from happening, because it is preventable. It is stoppable. One of the things that was noted in one of the opinion pieces that I read today about this was children coming out to their parents and being afraid to do so has caused them to seek drugs. That's become a rising thing. I figured one of the things that I thought was bad about this is I thought we had come along far enough along now that children could come out to their parents about their lifestyle and feel safe about it, but it's still a highly trending reason for antidepressants and fentanyl abuse is trying to come out to your parents that you are not a heterosexual child, that you are something else. Now, I'm not going to go down a list of all the ones that exist out there, but I'm just saying that you're not a straight sex, the sex of what you were born, you were identified by the doctors at birth, and it's causing a lot of these children to start taking drugs to deal with it because they're scared to death of their parents finding out. Folks, it's your child. Okay, it's your child. Now, you may have had the thought when you had your child that your child's going to grow up and get married and have a bunch of kids and everything else, and you thought that was going to be the world. But guess what? If it doesn't matter. It's your child. If your child wants to come to you to tell you that they're gay, they should be able to without a problem. I've told my children, I don't care what you come to me and tell me that you have become or what you've realized in your mind. Not become, that's kind of a bad word. I don't care what you realize, if it makes you happy. Your father is happy for you. Because all I want as a father is my kids to be happy. But I want them to be alive. And I would rather my child come to me, scared to death to tell me something, but be able to tell me, than to turn to drugs. You can ask my daughter. She can call me on the phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It doesn't matter when, and she could tell me anything. Even if she knows it's something that maybe I don't agree with, or maybe something I just don't stand for. But it's something that makes her happy. Which, I mean, when it comes to me, there's not much I don't stand for or agree with. There's very little. But my daughter knows she can come to me. My son knows, who's 20 now, knows he can come to me and talk to me about anything. It doesn't matter. And I won't get angry at them. I have another child. He's not a teenager yet. But he's going to know he could come to his father and talk to his father about anything. It doesn't matter if he wants to come out of the closet, if he wants to tell me that he's pansexual, if he wants to tell me that he's this, he wants to tell me he's that. I'm cool with it. You know why? Because if it makes my child happy, I mean, literally the only thing they could come out to me for and tell me that I would not be okay with is if they came out saying they were a pedophile. That, no. Mm-mm. Don't give a shit about that. That's going to get your dad angry. Okay? Because it's illegal. Okay? And it's wrong. But you could come out, my kids know this, and your kids should know the same thing. And if your kids know they can feel safe about coming to you about anything, literally anything, and know they're not going to get kicked out of the house, they're not going to get disowned, they're not going to get beaten about it, some of these things will be very preventable because then they know they can come talk to you. That's one of the ways that you could prevent these things from happening. Be involved in your kid's life and what they're doing online. Be involved with them and let them know they can trust you. They're your child. And maybe we can get this number down. And why am I so passionate about this? Because I had to look in the eyes of one of my friends' face who had to bury his own child from a drug overdose. And I had to see the pain in his eyes. And I don't think I could imagine I couldn't even begin to imagine what that would feel like for me. I couldn't. I could not imagine that pain. And I don't want to know that pain. And I don't think neither do you. Honestly, you need to be involved in your child's life. Don't be one of these people that thinks that I can't do that because they need to have their complete privacy. Bullshit. No, they don't. When they move out of your house and go on with their life, they still need to know that as an adult, when they go out there to be an adult, they could still call home and they could still talk to their parents about shit that's going on, and their parents will listen to them and not judge them. And that prevents things like this. That prevents this crap drug overdose shit. It will prevent it. Why? Because they know they have somewhere to turn. A lot of these kids doing this don't know that they can turn to something. They don't know that they could turn to their parents to talk to their parents. And some of them do it because, well, they believe the person because they fell into their trap and didn't know that they could go talk to you. They didn't think about it because they fell into the trap of the person selling the drugs. It's like I told you, these people are good. That's why I said just being the person that they feel like they can trust is not 100% the answer. That's not going to prevent it completely. Being directly involved in what they do will help prevent this completely. Educating your children on these monsters that prey on them will help prevent this completely. There are steps you need to do, and it's a responsibility of a parent to do these things. Come to an end. Remember, these are the ones that are going to be leading this country when we're this world when we're old, gray, and too damn decrepit to even get out of the chair. Literally, they're going to be the ones running this place when we're too old, decrepit, and get out of the chair, and we're screaming that the music's too loud and get the hell off my lawn. They're going to be the ones running the joint. But if we don't take care of them, and we don't make sure we're involved in their life, and we don't make sure that they know they can come to us when they have problems, there's not going to be a future to run this place anymore. The numbers are getting higher. They're not getting lower. So we're not doing our jobs. The moment you have a child, it is just, you have just taken a job that never ends. It never ends. And you need to make sure you're there for them. If you're a relative, if one of your relatives has children and you don't, it's also your responsibility in that family also to keep an eye out. Maybe your relative is one of those parents that doesn't think their child can ever do any wrong, would never do that any kinds of things, but you see it yourself. Well, then be the family member they could reach out to at that point. There's so many ways we could do this and bring these numbers down. There's so many ways that we can do this. We don't need drug rehab programs, and we don't need the schools to sit there and be the ones to educate our children on how to do this. It's us. It is our responsibility as parents to make sure that our children are alive tomorrow. It is our responsibility to make sure our kids know what's out there preying on them. It's our responsibility. We can get these numbers down. Like I said, if you go to the National Institute for Drug Abuse, you can look at all the numbers I looked at. And if you're a parent, I want you to go look at all the numbers I looked at. Look at the children's lives that are being lost. Maybe they'll sink in that person that's down the hall in the bedroom may not be here tomorrow. Don't be that one. Don't be that one that it suddenly it just rips your heart out of your chest at a moment's notice because you didn't honestly believe it was even possible. I'm here to tell you it is very possible. I am here to tell you it is 100% very possible for it to happen. I have seen it with my own eyes. Like I said, the keys to being able to help prevent this from happening. Be involved in your children's life. Be involved in what they're doing online. Don't let them be online. Make sure they know that they can come to you, that they trust you. Make sure that they're safe. Once again, like I said, all of this stuff is preventable. Every bit of it. Folks, that's all I got for you tonight. That's the Rich Wilson Show. I know it's a bit of a dark show, but maybe I've given you something to think about over the weekend. Maybe during the weekend of course you could be watching this and it's not the weekend. It could be a Tuesday when you finally see this video. But maybe I've given you something to think about. Do the research like I did today. Do the research like I did today. You may find out a lot of stuff you weren't aware of, and it's damn scary. Go talk to your kids. Even when they go, "Oh, Dad, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that," have the conversation anyway. Let your children know that if they need to come to you about something, regardless of what it is, they can, and it's safe to do so. If you're a relative and you know parents of children that you're related to that won't do that kind of thing, be the relative that does. Be the relative that child can reach out to then if their parents won't. Because if you don't do anything, if you do nothing, and your child dies because of this, and you did nothing, absolutely nothing to stop it, you're just as guilty as the guy who sold them those drugs. Yeah, that's harsh, ain't it? It is. But it's true. Anyway, folks, you guys have yourself a good night. You're like, after dumping all that on us, you want us to have a good night? Yes, I want you to have a good night. I want you to have a great night. I want you to sit back, kick back, and enjoy your lives. That's all I want anybody to do. Life may suck for you right now, but I still want you to sit back and think about something positive that's happened. There is something out there that's positive that happened. You may have to think hard for it, and I want you to dwell on that. Let it bring a smile to your face. Think of a loved one that brings a smile to your face. Think of something funny they would say, and let the smile come across your face. Trust me when I say this, the world's not completely dark. There's still light. Find the light. For everybody here at the world famous Rich Wilson Show, it is a Friday that I'm doing this on. So I'm going to say have a good weekend. If it's not a weekend and you're watching this, well, have a good tomorrow. We'll catch you guys back here Monday. Tuesday, I'm not 100% certain I will have a show because I'm going to be taking my computer apart. Hoping one of the problems that we're going to resolve is the motherboard, the RAM, and the processor. We're going to be upgrading all of that. By the way, folks, if you want to donate to keeping this show going, just message in the comments below. I'll link up with you. But anyway, folks, yeah, have yourself a good one. For everybody here at the world famous Rich Wilson Show, which is me in a bunker, and my significant other who is making sure this project is funded. It's kind of like PBS. Brought to you in part by the significant other. Or no, brought to you by donations by. Anyway, folks, you guys have yourself a good one. For everybody here at the Rich Wilson Studios, I'm Rich Wilson. And don't do anything I wouldn't do, which that doesn't leave you much room for error. Live life. Enjoy it. Do things that are fun. We're on this place for a short period of time. Have fun. We'll see you guys later. By the way, just in case you guys are wondering, that right there is my credit to my sources where I'm getting information. I did forget to put up the NIDA's logo, even though I did save it to put it on there. I forgot to put it on there. So that's just a credit for it. So forth. Oh yeah, I did forget one other thing. I did. Real quick, click the subscribe button. It's over here. It's that way. There you go. Click. You really do. And it's at 0. So anyway, yes, this one you need to share. Share this. Back to the credits now. Folks, you guys have yourself a good night. For everybody here, once again, at the world famous Rich Wilson Show, I'm Rich Wilson, and see ya.